Hey guys, so today I'm going to try a new method of rebatching. I had to do a lot of trial and error a long time ago to figure out the right method that I liked. There's a lot of methods out there and they all work, but the way that I like the soap to turn out, it took me a while to find that method. But I still wanted it to be just a little bit better, so I actually came across this method of doing rebatching, and I'm going to try out today because I have a lot of soap scraps. And I'll put the link below so that you guys can see it too. And this is around a 2-pound batch. I cut my soap into chunks, into shreds also. And what the method calls for to make it more fluid, what it is that it made this lady, she did this method, and at the end she added chunks to it to add more of a flair to the soap. And her soap ended up looking like stone or granite. So I thought that was kind of cool and I wanted to try it out. So this is about a 2-pound batch. It's a little less, it's going to be a 2-pound batch, but it's a little less than 2 pounds in here because I am going to be adding chunks in the end. And I don't want it to overflow in my mold. And it calls for adding half a cup of castor oil and half a cup of water. Now these chunks, as you see, they're not fully dried out, so I don't need to add that much liquid. So I'm actually going to cut down the castor oil and only put 1/3 of castor oil in there. But I'm going to keep the water as half, so, and distilled water of course. So here's my water. And here's my castor oil. I already put my colorant in here. These scraps actually were, most of them were peppermint, and even though that's a very strong fragrance, it has faded out a lot, so I might end up having to add more, but I am going to keep the peppermint fragrance, so I decided to put blue as the colorant, so I'm going to go ahead and add that now, just color it from the get-go. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot to get my utensil. So, I'm going to give this a stir. And she put this on, she left this on for about an hour, I think. She said that it took for her to melt it completely before she added the chunks. So I'm going to be checking on this every 20 minutes for the next hour so I can show you guys the progression. And also to make sure it doesn't burn or anything. Alright, so there's that. And we'll be back in 20 minutes. Alright guys, so it's been 20 minutes. And this is how the soap is looking like. It's just like a regular rebatch. The first 20 minutes isn't really a big difference. One thing that I did want to point out that I didn't say was that this is actually on high. It's not on low, it is on high. The crock pot is set to high. Alright, so it's been another 20 minutes. And I am going to stir this up. And it is very fluid. Wow. This method might work after all. I love how the blue is really, really blue. This is actually, I'm using one of my soaps, Blue Ice. It's a regular cold process soap, and I'm actually using this as my Blue Ice soap since the chunks were already, I have chunks in embeds that are gonna be similar to this, in my actual blue ice soap. So this is a good way, this was perfect for the extra scraps of peppermint that I had. I'm going to be able to make one of my actual soaps as a rebatch, if that makes sense. So this is really, really fluid. This is definitely going to be easier to put into the mold and get a better, get less of a rustic look to the soap. Alright, so I'm going to let it go for another 20 minutes and then I'll come back and we'll see how it looks. Hey guys, alright, so it's been the last 20 minutes and it's still pretty hot. It's at 162, so I'm going to let it cool down just a little bit more and then I'll go ahead and I'm going to add some more peppermint fragrance because it has flashed off and it's not as potent anymore. And then I'll add the embeds and everything too, and I'll go ahead and mold this baby up. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add my peppermint oil now. I'm only adding 1 ounce and then I'll see how fragrant it is, because you know peppermint oil, it tends to be really potent, so whew, it's very potent. I am going to add just a little bit more. I love my soaps very fragrant, so add a little bit more of that. Alright, now I'm going to add my embeds. These are my embeds right here. They're little soap balls that I made. And just like melt and pour, I like to spritz them with alcohol just to help them adhere. I'm not sure if it matters in cold process, but I do it anyway, just in case. Or hot process, or rebatch. So far, I'm really happy about the way it turned out. I'm really happy how fluid it is. And just a couple more. Alright. Mix this in really well. Alright, let me get situated so you guys can see what I'm doing, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I think you guys can see what I'm doing. Just gonna go ahead and plop this in here. This actually looks like it's not gonna fit in here. fit. Definitely not all gonna fit. I'm gonna take some of this out because I need to add some more embeds on top. And it's just gonna spew all over the sides once I do that, so. Did not add alcohol to this. Go ahead, and that's what I'll do for that. So there's that. Let me get another mold here. See if I can do some cupcake rolls. It'll hold. Alright, so I went ahead and I finished scooping out the rest of the soap, and then that big chunk, the big square chunk that I had put in the first cupcake soap, I have a couple of those, and I just went ahead and I just cut them up to make them smaller, so that way the cupcake soaps actually match the loaf. The only thing is that the batter had soap balls in it, so when the loaf is cut, it's going to look like polka dots, and since you don't cut cupcake soaps, you're not going to be able to see that, but that's okay. So I'm really happy on how this turned out. The soap turned out really fluid. I hope it dries well though, because when I had first started doing rebatching, I've had a couple of methods that made the soap really fluid, but the soap never hardened. After months, I think it was 4 months, I believe, or 6 months, I'm not sure. I think I actually posted a video on it too. I showed the actual soap and it was mushy like Play-Doh because it just never dried out. So I'm hoping that this one does dry out and get hard. This is my blue ice soap. My blue ice soap is normally a cold process soap, but I was actually able to do it as a rebatch since I had some peppermint scraps, and my blue ice is just peppermint. So I was able to save some scraps and actually do an actual soap instead of having. That's the problem that I don't like with rebatches, is that you'll just have like a random soap that you're never really going to do again. So I was really excited to have this because I was able to make a soap that's part of my actual line. So we'll wait till tomorrow. This will probably harden up in a couple of hours, just like hot process does. So, but I'm gonna wait 24 hours before I unmold and cut anyways, just to make sure, because of how fluid it was. So we'll check back to see tomorrow and see how it goes. Good morning, guys. Happy Friday. It is a beautiful day here in Florida. It's one of the things that I love about living in Florida, because right now a lot of people are getting blizzards and being in the cold and shoveling snow, And today, in February, high is supposed to be 88. So, I'm super excited because it is Friday and the weekend's here and it's a pretty day. And this weekend we're supposed to be tackling the garage and we're supposed to be cleaning it out. Let me take this off. We're supposed to be cleaning it out and redoing our workout area, and hopefully we'll get around to, we're supposed to be setting up a soaping station for me. I'm so excited to finally have an area that I can work at that's my own, instead of having to always take over our kitchen. I have stuff here, I have stuff over there, I have packaging in a room, storage in a room. I just want to have one central location for everything. Anyway, so before I do this, I've already went ahead and I unmolded the cupcakes. And they're pretty firm up top. The sides, they look pretty crappy because it was actually still tacky when, let's see if you can see it. It was actually still tacky when I unmolded it. And also, it has a lot of air pockets because since I didn't use the muffin tin, I couldn't like bang it down or anything. But it kind of worried me, the fact that it was still tacky. So I actually had to smooth it out with my finger. They're drying up now, so hopefully they'll firm up pretty good. To hide this, I think I'm going to take a little bit of oil and mix it with a little bit of silver mica or gold mica and then just brush it on. And then let it dry, and then that way it's covered by the mica and it covers all that roughness, because that just looks bad. So those were tacky, so you know for sure that the loaf was tacky. It was super, super tacky. It was sticking on the paper and everything. I had to let it dry out a little bit after I took the paper off. That kind of worried me a bit because I did... one of the first recipes that I had ever done, it called for, I forgot the liquid that it called for, but it made the batter fluid just like this one. Just like this one. However, after a couple of months, it still wasn't fully dried. So I was, oh, that looks super cool. It still wasn't fully dried. Look at that. It still wasn't fully dried. It's still kind of soft here. And I could pull it apart like Play-Doh. So I'm a little worried that this one's going to be the same. I hope that it won't be. Only time will tell. I'm going to have to let this sit for a couple weeks to see if it will completely harden up. And even if it doesn't, I'm not gonna not use this method. I'm gonna try this method again because the soap scraps that I was using, they were being kept in a Ziploc bag so they wouldn't dry out, so they already had a lot of moisture in them. So even with me cutting the castor oil down, maybe I should have cut like the water down too, to not add too much. There's that side. To not add too much moisture, because this method might be best for soap scraps that have been dried out for a while. There's a piece of a soap ball. So hopefully I'll do an update on this in a couple of weeks. If I forget and you guys want to know how it turned out, just comment me or message me and I'll get to it. I'll get to making an updated video and I'll show you guys if these hardened up pretty well or not. I hope they harden up because oh no. I wonder if I can put that back in. don't know if that's gonna work or not. I hope it works out though, because I was happy that I was able to do a soap that I normally carry from a rebatch, because that's one thing that, you know, I always wonder about rebatches. If, you know, you're mixing a whole bunch of different soaps together, different colors, different scents, and different, you know, recipes. So unless you use the same recipe all the time for every single soap, you know, do you sell it as limited edition? Do you use it on your own? Do you, you know, what if someone likes it? How do you recreate it? You know, so that's one problem that I hated about Rebatch. So I was really happy that I was able to do a soap that I actually carry from a Rebatch. This turned out really good though, regardless. It is still really soft, but I'm going to have to plane the edges. I guess I should just, well, I only have one more bar to cut, so I might as well go ahead and cut it. Can you see I'm impatient? Jeez. I do this too, like when I get, like, that's one reason why I can't wait to have like my soaping station, because since I do soap in the kitchen, when I want to clean it, when, you know, because, you know, I have dirty dishes that I have to clean and stuff. When I want to clean the kitchen, I always feel like I have to hurry up and do this so I can go ahead and wash, you know, the molds and stuff at the same time. And so I end up like doing things like this. I cut a soap and maybe I should just wait, but I don't know, maybe that's, my brain shouldn't be working that way. But once I get my soaping station, I won't have to feel that way anymore, so. And there's that one. I don't know if you guys can see that really well. Hold on one second. I wanted to show you guys my actual blue ice soap. This is, as you see, it's a very subdued pale blue. It's not really pastel. I don't know if it's picking up the color right, but this was cold process, oven process. It did discolor in the middle, but this is my blue ice soap. And this one, it actually looks so much better. The blue looks so much better. And so I'm definitely, and the smaller balls look better too. Let's see if I can do this. So that's why I'm just super happy I was able to make a soap that I actually carry from a Rebatch. So I'm really hoping that this hardens up really well so I can actually, you know, I could use it. I could sell it and not feel, I don't want to sell it if it's not, you know, perfect. As far as the rustic looking, some people like that rustic look. I'm going to plane the sides too, so that's not a big deal, but anyway, so that is my rebatch of blue ice. Let me cut these. These will be samples. And like I said, if you guys are interested in seeing, wow, that's a fat sample. I'm gonna have to cut that again. If you guys are interested in seeing how this worked out in a couple of weeks, just message me and or message me or comment me to remind me to do another video so I can give you guys an update. Alright? Happy Friday! Have a great weekend, guys!